Good morning. Today we are heading to one of the oldest and most well-known art galleries in the world, the Uffizi. Here's the Ponte Vecchio. It is the oldest surviving bridge in Florence across the Arno, and you can see that it has layers and layers of growth built upon it. Right now they sell primarily jewelry there due to an old Medicean law. The reason this one looks this way and none of the others do is because during the war, World War II here in Italy, the Germans dynamited most of the bridges in order to stop the Allied advance, but they left this one intact. My understanding is it's because Hitler thought it was such a neat thing, but I don't know, I'm sure it was more complicated than that at the time. Lines from hell. We start with some empty rooms with cool ceilings. Roman sculpture. Look how fine. Colossal head of a sea god. The gallery was built over the remains of a former church, and some components of it remain preserved in the walls. Here's a familiar face. Back to Trajan. Roman dogs were jacked. Hercules slaying Nessus. And here's Helena, Constantine's mother, who ostensibly was responsible for finding the true cross. Ceres in both basanite and marble. Nero. Della Francesca's Triumphs of the Duke and Duchess of Urbino. Look how detailed that is. And here are their famous portraits. And here's Vespasian. A bit of a blockhead, but very competent. And his son Titus. Uncanny that you can see the family resemblance 2,000 years later. And Botticelli's iconic Birth of Venus, which has gathered an enormous crowd. The Leonard Nimoy will always shock me. Look at this room. As cool as that room was, it had an enormous line. So apparently the famous Martin Luther picture actually comes with a picture of his wife. Honestly, same. You can see most of the bridges from here. Beautiful day. And here's Pertinax, one of the only sculptures of him existing because he was killed after only 3 months on the Roman throne. This is a portrait of Gene Wilder, who I guess shockingly was around in the 1400s. Saint Jerome by Filippo Lippi. Look at the expression on that face. And this is the Leonardo da Vinci room. Look how crowded. Physique goals. Look at these sculptures. Look how active. They come from a group found in a Roman vineyard, which depicts the murder of all of the children of the woman Niobe, who made the all-time mistake of claiming that she was in some way better than a god. Constantine always looks like he is about to play a trick on you. Bandinelli's Laocoon. This is a whole gallery of artists' self-portraits. This is the Rest on the Flight into Egypt by Correggio. Look at the use of lighting. Keanu Reeves, yet again. Here's Allori's take on Michelangelo's The Dream. Being recalled to virtue after a life of vice. When the terrifying huge baby attacks you. Vasari's portrait of Lorenzo il Magnifico. and Pontormo's portrait of Cosimo il Vecchio. And finally, Bronzino's extremely famous portrait of Cosimo I, the first Duke. And here is a gigantic 1st century Greek pot. Just think of the balcony agriculture you could fit in there. Caravaggio's Medusa shield. Look at that facial expression. This is the best I don't believe you face I think I've ever seen in a painting. Well, that was the Uffizi. Lots of masterpieces all gathered together at once. I'm not completely sure of the history because I don't have internet right now for whatever reason, but my understanding is that it was generally the Medici's private art gallery, where ever since the time of the early Medicis, they just collected sculptures from Rome and various art from artists they patronized, and it all kind of ended up there. And so over time it's just amassed one of the most famous collections in history. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And it is also another Civ 5 wonder. So now I'm on my way to get a snack at Vivoli and then off to Basilica Santa Croce. Good heavens, this line. Look. An old wine window. Let's hope this was worth the wait. Update. The pistachio is good, but the chocolate cherry is to die for. Huge Dante statue. Another massive, beautiful Florentine church with a shockingly bare interior. When I go to Il Duomo in a couple days, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's amazing how beautiful they are on the outside, and yet they have these massive expanses of just bare wall on the inside. It even looks like there used to be something there that was torn away. This cathedral is much like Westminster in England. It's where most of the most notable members of Florentine history are buried. Ghiberti, Guglielmo Marconi, who invented the radio. Galileo. Some of these are so old and worn that it's impossible to tell without a guide who was buried here. Michelangelo. His tomb was actually designed by Vasari. Dante, whose tomb was planned and sculpted by Ricci. It's amazing, all of these visionaries honoring one another in death. Machiavelli. And Rossini. These sculptures, worn from centuries of feet. Yet another Medici chapel. But this one just seems dedicated to artwork. These are for adoration of the host. It smells pleasantly piney out here. These cypresses go so straight. I wonder if they require any trimming to do that. Donatello's San Ludovico di Tolosa. And once again, all the way over here, we have that Byzantine striping. That was really neat. I got to see a lot of interesting art and what's left of some of the people who made it. Tomorrow we're gonna go on an expedition out to Cinque Terre, which is sort of a bunch of 5 villages that are hanging out on the coast a little northwest of here. So yeah, it's a nice day. I think I'm gonna go enjoy it. So until then, signing off.